Hello, mi gente. Bienvenidos al podcast de Media Master. This is the Media Master podcast. You're watching this on YouTube. You're listening to it on Spotify, on Google Play, on Apple Podcast, and wherever you may find your favorite podcast. I'm your host, David Rios, and today's podcast, we're going to talk about Mexican bands coming to South by Southwest. This podcast, I live in Austin, Texas. This podcast is coming to you live and direct from Austin, Texas. Today's date is Tuesday, March 14th. Es un placer, es un honor estar con ustedes. Now, if you've been following me for a while, you know that I've been doing South by Southwest for over 20 years. As a matter of fact, I moved to Austin in 1995, and one of the things that was going on in Austin in 1995 that just blew me away was this festival right here that comes every March. The festival that's music, film, interactive, gaming, a little bit of everything. It's South by Southwest, and it's really grown over the years. So as you can imagine, I've worked for the Grammys, I've worked for Univision, I've worked for radio stations, I've been program director for Mexican stations, Spanish pop stations, you name it. So I've been involved with South by Southwest one-on-one with them. I've produced panels for them. I've done showcases for them, whether it's with the radio, whether it's for TV. And I've also gone as a media outlet on behalf of Univision. I've covered a lot of events for South by Southwest. I've taken a ton of pictures and tons of videos. And I think I've done hundreds of interviews with bands that come to South by Southwest each and every year. Cada año tenemos grupos de Colombia, well, all over the world, Colombia, Venezuela, a lot of Cuban bands. And it's real cool to see bands that you meet for the very first time. You see them later on winning Grammy Awards, and I can't think of a name off the top of my head, but there's been a lot of bands that I've interviewed. They play on the streets. They've been, playing for people on the streets. They're on 6th Street. You catch up with them, you meet them, and then a couple of months later, you see them walking the red carpet at the Grammy Awards. So it's a very cool experience. Si saben un poquito de la música, South by Southwest viene grupos de todo el mundo. Y bueno, están aquí unos cuantos días para dar lo mejor. And what we're going to do in this podcast, let me give you a quick little overview of what this podcast is going to cover. We're going to go over some of the bands that I recommend that are going to be playing at South by Southwest. And I'm going to focus mainly on the Latino bands, on the Mexican bands, because that's the music that I like the most. So what we're going to do right here, I'm going to go over the list of bands that I recommend for you guys to go check out if you're in Austin. And if you're listening to this podcast well after South by Southwest has passed, if it's already way past March, if this is another year, let's say it's 2024, 2025, and you're barely coming across this podcast, it'd be interesting to see what these bands have evolved to be. I just want to say that as much as I love music, it's real inspiring. Watch all of these bands from all around the world come to this event to promote their music, to market their music, to grow their audience. But what's a little sad sometimes is that a lot of these bands, they go back to their hometowns, to their home countries. Some of them make it big, like Molotov. Molotov is one of those bands that I interviewed back in 96, 95, 96. They were barely on the up and up. They were playing on 6th Street, and lo and behold, more than 20 years later, Molotov is one of the largest rock bands that have come out of Mexico, and they're still very relevant today. There's a lot of bands like that have played South by Southwest, like Café Tacuba. But there's also a lot of bands that you see them, they're really good. They come, they give it their best, they give it a shot, and then, their careers take them somewhere else. So hopefully these bands that I'm going to go over today, hopefully they'll stay, se queden en el gusto de la gente. Espero que las agrupaciones que les voy a mencionar el día de hoy, pues todos los que vienen a South by Southwest, espero que les vaya muy bien. And I wish you guys the best. I hope you guys have a long, wonderful career in the music industry. So, and ultimately, the ones who decide that are the fans. So here's my recommendation. Starting off with, there's this showcase that I really like. Hay un showcase que me gusta mucho. Viene del sello Humilde, Rancho Humilde, Humilde Records, Rancho Humilde desde California. I'm real happy to see that this year South by Southwest has included a regional Mexican showcase to its lineup. So the bands that I recommend for this year in the regional Mexican area, Yvonne Galas. She is a singer, a lot of the corrido, la onda de la música de los corridos out of Sonora, I believe. Let me confirm that for you. Out of Obregón, Sonora, exactamente. También Porte Diferente is another regional Mexican band that I recommend. And I'm going to play a couple of audio clips here from these artists to see what you guys think about it. Also, Janine Tania Dominguez and Los Aptos. These bands are going to be playing on Thursday, March 16th, I believe, Thursday, March 16th. They're going to be playing at a place called The Venue. Gran parte de los artistas que se presentarán provienen de la asociación entre Rancho Humilde, Sync Music, la sociedad establecida por primera vez en 2017. Incluye el desarrollo de grupos como Fuerza Régida, Legado 7, el de la guitarra y Nathaniel Cano. So pretty much the people behind Nathaniel, el de la guitarra, Legado 7, Fuerza Régida are the people that are putting on the showcase. So you know the music is going to be good. So I'm looking forward to that one. So les deseo lo mejor. Sync Music, Rancho Humilde. Van a estar ahí en el South by Southwest con lo mejor de la música regional mexicana. And I also want to mention real quick, something about South by Southwest that's also really cool is that you always see different marketing tactics, people doing different types of marketing. There's this collaboration between Spin Magazine and something called, let me tell you right now, Spin Magazine is partnering during South by Southwest with Festival Pass, the world's first live events subscription service. Teams up with Iconic Magazine for interviews and more during South by Southwest. What they're doing, they are totally renovating old city bus. And I'm going to see if I can put the picture here on my YouTube video. If you're listening to the Spotify podcast, go to YouTube and I'll show you a picture of this bus. So basically what they're doing, they turned a city bus into a place where they can do interviews, artist interviews, photo shoots, and all that cool stuff. So be on the lookout in South by Southwest for a tour bus, a city bus turned into a mobile production studio. And they're going to have a big showcase also on March 16th with headliner Killer Mike. So be on the lookout for that passenger city bus that's going to be doing a lot of interviews. Speaking of Spin Magazine, they have a private showcase that they're going to be doing on Wednesday night. Hopefully I get to check that out. And it's going to be featuring a group of local female DJs that spin records que se llaman Chulita Vinyl Club, I believe it is. Chulita's Vinyl Club. They play a lot of Latin, hip-hop, cumbia, Latin sounds, and they play them with vinyl. So it's Chulita's Vinyl Club. They're going to be playing at a Spin private showcase on Wednesday night. So let me also mention a Colombian artist that's going to be performing here in Austin. Se llama Ramon Chicharrón, and he's going to be performing his new hit song. It's called Tu Tu Tu. So why don't we go ahead and listen to some of these tracks? Let's see what they sound like, and then at the end, I'm going to give you a couple of local Austin bands that I recommend that are also going to be playing South by Southwest. But first, let's start off with Yvonne Galas. Let's go to Yvonne Galas's Instagram page. That's where she's really active, and let's listen to some of her music. A ver si alcanzan a escuchar esto. She sings great. She's got some cool pictures. Follow her on Instagram, Yvonne G Music. She has 77,000 subscribers. Very good. Here we go. Oh, great to hear. That is Yvonne. Yvonne, let me see if I can find something else de Yvonne cantando. Vamos a ver este video.
Ya no espera la reina de los corridos tumbados.
Okay, corridos tumbados. Well, that's Yvonne. Vámonos al otro artista that's going to be here for South by Southwest. We are talking about Porte Diferente. Vamos a escucharlos rapidito. They have 251,000 followers on Instagram. You can follow them at Porte Diferente, and this is more or less what they sound like. Vamos a ver.
Te extraño más que nunca y no sé qué hacer. Despierto y te recuerdo al amanecer. Espero otro día por vivir sin ti. El espejo no miente, me veo tan diferente. Haces falta tú.
All right, that was Porte Diferente, parte del sello discográfico Rancho Humilde. I'm really interested to see what they sound like live. It's a whole new generation, nueva generación de música regional mexicana. So I'm looking forward to seeing them live. Porte Diferente. Y ahí a la muchacha Yvonne Galás. Also performing on that showcase, Janine, Tania Domínguez, and Los Aptos. That showcase is called Rumba Showcase, cortesía de Mitu, Sync Music, y Rancho Humilde. It's going to be at the venue, ATX, Thursday, right there on 6th Street. Y el otro grupo que le decía, el colombiano Ramón Chicharrón. Let's see what he sounds like. Su canción se llama, his new single is Tu Tu Tu. Colombian multi-instrumentalist Ramón Chicharrón has been shattering borders with his music for nearly a decade, enticing listeners with his sincere approach to composition and charming wit. Today, ahead of his highly anticipated appearance at South by Southwest, he achieves the impressive feat once again with his new single, Tu Tu Tu. Vamos a escucharlo.
Tu mirada me tiene soñando, mi corazoncito palpitando. Tu silueta está coloreando las flores del jardín en donde yo te estoy cantando. Tu sonrisa me tiene re loco, me tiene soñando y me antojo de tener la fuerza para decirte que quiero bailar este dembow pegadito junto a ti, 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 ti. Pegadito y despacio, bailando al ritmo el tambor, palpita mi corazón.
All right, ahí tenemos a Ramón Chicharrón. You can look for him on YouTube, Ramón Chicharrón. He has 1,100 subscribers. It sounds a lot like Juanes, the Colombian sound. So if you're into that, be sure to check him out, Ramón Chicharrón. And the local Austin band I want to mention real quick, Caramelo Haze. It's a local Austin group headed by Beto Martinez, who is one of the front guys, one of the founders of Grupo Fantasma. So if you know Grupo Fantasma, if you like Grupo Fantasma, be sure to check out Caramelo Haze. They're a local Austin band. And they're going to be doing their thing también during South by Southwest. One more local mention is a couple of local DJs called Peligrosa, the Peligrosa Collective. It's a collective of a bunch of DJs. A big shout out to Orion, a big shout out to King Louie, to all the DJ crew, the Peligrosa, who every year have something called Peligrosa House. And what they do, they invite DJs, producers, all sorts of creative artists that are going to be in town for South by Southwest. They do this showcase. It's an unofficial South by Southwest showcase. It's not part of South by, but that's how DJs do their thing. That's how Peligrosa does their thing. They do their own thing with or without the backing of a major festival. So Peligrosa Showcase, Peligrosa House, look for them on Facebook. Caramelo Haze, look for them on Facebook también. And there you go. That is what I recommend. That's what I'm going to be getting into this year here at South by Southwest. As I said, I've been doing this for many, many years. Sometimes I go overboard. I'm out every single night of the week. Sometimes I just do tech. Sometimes I just do film. But this time I'm gonna be doing a couple of interviews, hopefully, with some of these artists. So stay tuned of this Media Master podcast, whether it's on YouTube or on Spotify. Stay tuned para ver las entrevistas que voy a tener con los artistas de South by Southwest. If you want to see past interviews that I've done for South by Southwest over the years, I've got them all on my YouTube channel. Go to youtube.com/David Rios TV, or just look for David Rios TV on the search engine of YouTube, and you will find me. And just go look for artist interviews. I've got people in there like Molotov, Jen Morel, artist, Chino and Nacho. Well, Nacho, Chino wasn't there, but Nacho was. And just, Panteón Rococó, I think, is in there. They're one of the artists I interviewed, Panteón Rococó. Just a bunch of artists. I can't think of it off the top of my head, but I do invite you to check them out. If you want to go into the history of South by Southwest, some old school Austin interviews while I was at Univision, you can check them out. So just happy to be working independent, be my own independent producer, promoter, and of course, big honor to be producing this podcast, the Media Master Podcast. Thank you very much. Make sure to follow me on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, at David Rios TV. And if you've heard this podcast, if you saw it online, if you heard it somewhere on Spotify, send me a message. Let me know you're tuned in. I would love to hear your feedback. Eso es todo. Keeping it under 20 minutes. El Media Master Podcast. These are the bands to look out for at South by Southwest 2023. I didn't do one last year, 2022, because I was still adapting post-pandemic. And 2020, nothing happened. And I don't think nothing happened in 2021. So it's good to be back. It's good to be covering South by Southwest, something that has kept me in Austin all these years. I could have gone to LA, I could have gone to New York, I could have gone to Miami. I had a bunch of offers to go work at those cities back in the day, but I chose Austin, and this is where I live, work, have fun, play, and get to listen to music pretty much anytime you want. Austin, Texas, the live music capital of the world. We'll see you guys on the next podcast. Take care. Saludos. Bye-bye.